Myself, Dr. Kamini Mittal. I am guest faculty at Center of Food Technology, University of Allahabad, and I am presenting module 14 of paper 8, the paper on women and health, which comes under the subject of women's studies. The title of this module is Sexual and Reproductive Health Problems and Healthcare Part 2. The author is Dr. B. Subhasri, Rural Women's Social Education Center, Tamil Nadu, and Ms. Chandni Bhambani, who is a PhD scholar at the Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bangalore. There are 4 main issues that challenge the sexual and reproductive health and rights. Firstly, maternal health. Secondly, services related to sexual health and contraception. Thirdly, STIs. Fourthly, cancers of reproductive organs. The previous module, that is module 13, contains thorough discussion on maternal health and contraception as SRHR concerns. We would begin this module by comprehending the programs and policies at national level that have attempted to address the SRHR concerns of maternal health and contraception. Family planning program was initiated in 1951 and it occurred till 1976. The objective of this program was to reduce population growth and to bring a reduction in maternal mortality. Then came India's first population policy in the year 1976, and its main objective was to reduce population growth. The family planning targets were fixed for health workers. Women with 2 living children were forced to undergo family planning operation, and this came under lot of criticism. Then Child Survival and Safe Motherhood program was launched in 1992. The objective of this program was to improve health status of women and children and reduce maternal mortality, infant mortality and child mortality rate. From year 1997 to 2002, a reproductive and child health program 1 was launched with the same objective, and again reproductive and child health program 2 was launched in April 2005, which continued till 2010. National Rural Health Mission was launched in 2005 to 2011. Again, National Rural Health Mission Phase 2 was launched from 2012 to 2017. Here too, the objective was to provide accessible, affordable and quality health care to the rural population, especially the vulnerable groups. National Health Mission 2013 included 2 subsections. One was National Rural Health Mission and the other was National Urban Health Mission. And then a national youth policy was launched in 2014. Now we will go through the other crucial SRHR concerns of sexually transmitted infections and cancers of reproductive organs. Sexually transmitted infections are infections that spread through sexual contact. Initiation of sexual behavior at an early age within or outside the wedlock, engaging in multiple partnership and unprotected sex enhances the vulnerability of women to STIs like HIV, AIDS, chlamydia and reproductive tract infections. STIs other than HIV like herpes simplex virus, human papilloma virus enhance the risk of acquiring AIDS. HIV attacks body's immune system, thus weakening person's resistance to various infections and certain types of cancers. AIDS is the most advanced stage of HIV infection. The epidemic of HIV and AIDS continues to haunt the world, with 36.9 million people living with HIV globally. And the worst affected region by HIV epidemic is Sub-Saharan Africa, followed by Asia Pacific. The SRHR policies, programs and services often fail to acknowledge and incorporate the needs of HIV infected individual. The emphasis of most of these programs is on testing and counseling for HIV, access to antiretroviral and other related treatment for AIDS. The prevention of HIV marks one of the chief SRHR care concerns, with promotion of condoms and family planning methods. Recently, transmission of infection from mother to child is also being attended through antenatal and delivery care provision. But what is often missed in these programs and policies is the entire range of needs and wishes of HIV positive people. Now, why do we need special SRHR programs and policies for HIV infected individuals? Actually, magnitude of people knowing that they are HIV positive is merely 54%. In addition to be unaware of the testing facilities, WHO cites that the fear and anxiety of stigma and discrimination is the major reason which prevent people from accessing HIV test or from disclosing their HIV status or the treatment they are undergoing. The SRHR needs of adolescents and unmarried youth are not met in many cultures due to the associated taboo. The diverse sexual and reproductive needs of people often go unrecognized. For instance, many HIV infected individuals are in serodiscordant relationships, wherein one partner is HIV positive while the other is not. So, the needs of such couple is different. Also, in many cultures, homosexuality is criminalized, leaving people without service or support for fulfilling their SRHR needs. The widely presumed premise of high chance of HIV transmission from mother to child or during pregnancy is not correct. In many cases where HIV infected person is in good health, such a transmission does not occur. So, this can restrict and violate his or her right to be parent due to unavailability of right information. How to address the special SRHR needs of HIV? The guidelines formulated by International HIV/AIDS Alliance of 2010 suggest some remedies. They suggest that the health care providers should have a non-judgmental approach towards those who seek HIV diagnosis, who seek counseling or treatment. This can go a far way in curbing the people's reluctance to take help of these services. Adolescent and unmarried youth should be given comprehensive SRHR education. in order to prevent them from engaging in unprotected and risky sexual behavior. The acknowledgement and recognition of diverse SRHR needs of people in different forms of relationships is essential. Instead of denying the right to reproduce to HIV infected women and men, the efforts of public health policy makers and providers should be in spreading awareness and making resources available to seek safe parenthood. Now, there are national level programs and policies on HIV/AIDS. The National AIDS Control Program was launched in many phases. There are 4 phases: phase 1 starting from 1992 to 1999, phase 2 from 1999 to 2006, a 7-year period. Then phase 3 was again a 5-year period from 2007 to 2012, and phase 4 was a 4-year period from 2013 to 2017. So, the phase 1 and phase 2 had an objective to control the spread of HIV infection, and the later phase had an objective to halt and reverse the HIV/AIDS epidemic by integrating programs for prevention, care, support and treatment. And lastly, the concern about cancers of the reproductive organs. Around 8.2 million people lost their life due to cancer in the year 2012 alone, making it a leading cause of morbidity as well as mortality worldwide. And in women, cervical cancer and breast cancer are one of the most prominent causes of preventable death, especially among young women in low income countries and middle income countries. Talking about cervical cancer first. Anatomically, cervix is the lower narrow portion of the uterus, and cervical cancer affects women commonly in the most prime of their lives when they might be engaged in multiple vital roles like taking care of the family, raising children, and like contributing to the income of the family. More than 1 million women are currently living with cervical cancer globally, making it one of the greatest threats to women's life. And nearly 95% of the deaths due to cervical cancers is reported in developing countries. The reason being non-availability and non-accessibility of early diagnosis tests, leaving women vulnerable. It is the second most common type of cancer, affecting middle-aged Indian women, and India unfortunately contributes highest share of cervical cancer burden in the world. HPV is the cause of cervical cancer, and the infection of HPV is acquired through sexual relations, usually early in sexual life. The risk of persistent HPV infection is higher among HIV infected women, making them 10 times more vulnerable to cervical cancer than others. How do you address this problem of cervical cancer? Now, successful treatment depends mainly on early detection of cervical cancer, which can be achieved through education to promote early detection and screening, along with strengthening the public health facilities for the diagnosis and treatment. In the developed nations, introduction of population-based screening programs using pap smear test has made its early detection possible. However, in developing countries where there is a resource crunch, initiation of such nationwide programs require high-tech labs and expert cytologists, which is difficult to achieve. Promotion of genital hygiene and healthy sexual behavior must be envisaged as preventive measures. Low cost screening methods, validation of alternative tests like VIA, resumption of cryotherapy for cervical precancers, and availability of vaccines against HPV must be emphasized as curative measures. Lastly, talking about breast cancer. Now, most commonly occurring cancers among women in both the developed as well as the developing nations is the breast cancer, and nearly 1.7 million new cases of breast cancer were reported in 2012 alone, which represents 25% of all the cancer cases among women. The development of malignant tumor in the inner lining of the milk ducts or the lobules supplying milk to them results in breast cancer. There are certain risk factors that enhances the chances of acquiring breast cancer, like women who grow old. They have chances of getting cancer increases, especially in postmenopausal women. Breast cancers are inherited by the mutation of genes BRCA1 and BRCA2. Women who have certain benign breast lumps are more likely to get breast cancer, and obesity and alcohol consumption increases the chances of breast cancer in women. How do you address the problem of breast cancer? The burden of breast cancer is higher in developed countries. In spite of this, the mortality rate due to it is double in developing countries than that of developed countries. So, what is the cause? Late detection of cancer makes treatment often ineffective, thus causing mortality. Now, mammography, one of the main screening method, is found to be effective in reducing mortality. But in developing nation, possibility of availing mammography throughout the regions is difficult because mammography requires X-ray machines. So, the promotion and implementation of clinical breast examination as organized population based screening method can help a long way in tapering the breast cancer related mortalities. To sum up, we can say that the sexual and reproductive health rights cover rights to exercise one's choices regarding sexuality and reproduction without any form of coercion or discrimination. Achievement of SRHR for all has been an inevitable part of shared global development goals. The year 2015 marked the end of MDGs, that is Millennium Development Goals, and there was a simultaneous induction of SDGs, which is Sustainable Development Goals for the next 15 years, that is from 2016 to 2030. Unfortunately, India has been left far behind achieving the goals of MDGs necessary for achieving SRHR for all. MDGs have been criticized as United Nations top-down imposition on developing countries, and hence SDGs have been developed by paying due attention to the needs and challenges of developing countries by the involvement of multiple stakeholders. Whether SDGs will do justice to the SRHR needs of all is a question that would be answered in the coming years. Thank you.